Good morning, friends. Welcome to this session where we are going to talk about a little about modern theories or contemporary perspective of management sciences school. In our earlier sessions, we have already spoken about the evolution of management thought with the classical theories and how an advancement of neoclassical theories came over that. We have already discussed the 14 principles of management which were given by Henry Fayol and how they are going to affect the management practices in any organization. Today, we will talk about modern theories of management which will provide us the contemporary perspective of management. For these, I am Dr. Nidhi Srivastava from IMS Ghaziabad University Courses Campus. Modern theories are divided into three categories. The first is systems approach, second is contingency approach, and third is dynamic engagement approach. I will first talk about the systems approach. When we talk about systems approach, first we need to understand what is a system. A system is particularly denoting the input and output mechanism, and system consists of various subsystems. In this system approach to management, we find organization and open system. One system which is having a close interaction environment, which is having input and output relationship which goes through a transformation process. The input for any organization or the transformation process receives the input in the form of raw material, labor, and different type of supplier inputs, and the transformation process is primarily the machinery part or the process or the engineering part which is converting all those output which is being consumed by the not only by the customer but it is largely affecting the external environment of the organization. So it is very important for any organization to keep track of all its input components, all its components, and the transformation process. And the organization must be keeping every stakeholder in this process satisfied. If that is happening, the systems approach work towards the wealth maximization of the organization. So systems approach says what it says? It says that organization is a system which receives input, transform it through a process for output, and operate in an economic environment where the regulatory forces are also working. Now, the system approach has certain advantages. What are the advantages? Because it works towards the adaptability of the organization towards environmental changes. That means if any change is taking place in the government policy, in the natural environment, the organization will automatically adjust its transformation process and subsequently the input requirement accordingly, and the objective of the organization would be achieved. The focus of this kind of systems approach is always on the individual because they become the part of either input or output. When we are talking about the people who are working for the organization, it is input part, and when we are talking about the customers who are there in the environment, they are the output part. So if input and output is paid attention, obviously the benefit of the larger group and the individuals is automatically taken care of. The uniformity in decision making, because no other domain is getting preferential treatment. Every system has subsystem, and whatever components we are talking about of input and output, they all become the subsystems here, and that is why everybody is getting proper attention. And any kind of change when it is taking place in the environment or within the organization adapt quickly to that. So therefore the system which we find is the largely accepted theory of the management which is even practiced today. Another approach which is very important and which we find today's managers are following, that is contingency approach. That it is easy to say that organization is a system and the system is working for the other people. But a manager's approach must change according to the situation. I learned 14 principles of management. I have learned certain engineering process to transform the input into the output. But if suppose I find that there is a change there in the environment, I change my practices accordingly. That is contingency approach, which is more human oriented approach. That means, which is saying that all the principles of management must not be followed blindly. That if it is saying discipline is required, if it is saying that equity is required, there may be a situation where you need to create some disturbance in the organization to achieve the target. You must do that according to the situation. So whenever a manager is changing its managerial style according to the situation, he or she is following contingency approach. Okay, the last but not the least, dynamic engagement approach. Now this particular approach has come with the progression of time. All the latest practices which are being followed in the recent times, or which we note by practicing CEOs and manager, they all have been included in dynamic engagement approach. In view that time and human relationship are forcing management to rethink traditional approaches in the face of constant rapid changes, that is new organizational environment, ethics and social responsibility, globalization and management, multiculturalism, quality and reinventing organization, or whatever practices in this regard are being followed, they all become part of dynamic engagement approach. As we see with the liberalization in India, the private organizations get lot of freedom. Lot of work is being carried out today by the private organization, but with that the social responsibility of business and corporate governance also come into the picture, which are of recent origin, and therefore they are included in the dynamic engagement approach. So in this session we spoke about the modern theories of management. Two theories are clearly defined. One is systems approach, which treat the organization as a system, which is focusing more on internal environment of organization, and contingency approach, which is focusing more on external environment of business. Internal environment changes, system changes. External environment changes, management style changes. So these two theories are the part of modern theories of management. And last, and the one which is still in the nascent stage, which is still developing, that is dynamic engagement approach, where the contemporary practices which are being used by the managers are also included. Thank you.